crude oil production losses in the Niger Delta due to metering issues and illegal pipeline bunkering and insecurity have seriously plagued Nigeria's oil production over the last decade. According to the NUPRC, Nigeria produced 1.43 million barrels per day of crude oil in January 2024. This dropped to 1.32 million barrels per day in February, crashed to 1.23 million barrels per day in March, rose a little to 1.28 million barrels per day in April, before falling to 1.25 million barrels per day in May 2024. The continued plunge in Nigeria's oil production has been blamed on the incessant vandalism of oil pipelines and crude oil thefts. Whether you are a major oil and gas producer, an independent operator, or a marginal field operator, the potential loss of production or extended delays in getting to production can seriously impact the economic projections and erode value during this period of uncertainty and economic difficulties. Getting crude oil production from remotely located fields to market in the most efficient manner and as quickly as possible remains one of the major challenges faced by large and smaller operators. With the uncertainties about reservoirs productivity and high cost of developing permanent production facilities or flow stations to process crude oil production, operators opt for temporary production facilities to test the production capabilities of a well or field before making the full-scale investment in permanent production facilities and to achieve first oil revenues as soon as possible. The ready and increasingly popular solution has been the option of deploying an early production facility (EPF). An EPF is a modularized integrated solution for oil and gas production, which enables customers start oil or gas production on a fast-track basis. Time is the key factor in achieving the commercial benefits from an oil asset. While the EPF provides a cost-effective path to establishing early production from an oil and gas field, typical configurations have limited capabilities such as limited production capacities,
It's working. Ooh! A bit loud. Maybe turn it. Hello, hello. Just some technical. Hello. Is that better? Let's get her back. Apologies, everyone. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. And then I'll use the mic for the. To our AI workshop. Everybody saying, "Oh, this." Is this actually directly applicable to me in my daily life, right? With work in particular, and then also in industry. So that's basically what we're going to do today. The first half of our session is just an intro to all things AI. understand what the actual technology is behind artificial intelligence, and then we're actually going to do a hands-on workshop for you to get all these laptops. Back to Nigeria. And then to do our second hands-on activity.
Thank you, Chloe. Okay, so I'm assuming that we are all dummies in terms of AI. If you're an expert, please pardon us so they can get the dummies. Well, we can go to the next slide. Basically, okay, when you go to the next slide, so when we're talking about AI, we're looking about basically what you call, okay, fine, great. So this is what, under it you have machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, large language models, and then prompts. For all folks that may not know, prompt engineering is the most important part of this. Why? Because that is your front end to interact with the AI proper. In the simplest of terms, it's basically how you interact with your AI to get the best result from it. So if you ask him a simple question, he gives you a simple answer. If you ask him a complex question, he gives you a detailed answer. Okay, so how you frame your questions will determine how the AI actually answers you. Praise, okay, I want you to say praise the Lord. Please don't mind me. Hallelujah. Okay, so we talk about large language models. Basically, large means that there are lots of training data involved in this, which I'm going to see down the line. Language is core, of course, it's language specific. You know, unlike normal when you're learning coding, it's ones and zeros, called the machine language. So this is just basically talking to the computer in your natural language, either in text or in speech. And of course, model is a machine task. So that's why if you combine it, you can see that I'm using large data in my natural certain tasks. That's what LLM is. The next slide. So, okay, so you ask yourself, how do computers understand or LLMs understand? So just like I'm speaking now in words and you're understanding me, so LLM takes what they call tokens. Basically it's just in words, approximately 0.75% words. That's what OpenAI takes. Okay, and of course we talk about GPT for us that always like to know about certain terms. It's simply a generative pre-trained transformer. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise, but we'll just leave this one about next slide. So I want to quickly rush through this erosion so I can do the actual exercises, but I just want to bring us in. Now we've heard about ChatGPT, GPT-3, whatever, so I want to give you a guide on how these LLMs are. GPT is an LLM with what we call 175 billion parameters, okay, spread across 96 layers. We're going to look at that internally, trained on 300 billion tokens. Okay, so it's actually a very large set of data trained over a large period of time. Okay, and then GPT-4 is, of course, we know is actually the modern one. Now they didn't tell us how much or how many parameters they used, but they are suggesting that it took almost 1 trillion parameters to train. So you can see how wide and it is. Okay, so the next slide, please. So I want to be rushing a bit. Okay. Okay, so now you talk about LLM. When we are doing large language models, they design it according to your brain. Now, when your brain sees something, okay, when you look at something, it's your neuron is actually takes it and is embedded in the factual part of a neuron called your subconsciousness. So next time you want to remember it, there are certain things that happen. Okay, next slide. Okay, how do that happens? Okay. Okay, sorry. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So when they are designing the LLMs, the structure they are calling it next. Okay, it's going back here. All right. So now this is your brain. So what is happening when you want to remember something? Okay. So before those that learned solid state electronics in school, understand that these are called neurons. In physics, they call it valence electrons. If you can still remember your physics very well, but these are your brain neurons. Now, when a signal comes in, it gets activated, and when it gets activated, it transmits signals to the next neurons. The next neurons transmit signals to the next neurons. It continues like that until it hits that particular neuron that actually has that consciousness you want to remember, and then a light bulb comes to your head and you say, yes, I remember. So for when you learn something, the more you learn something, the more you understand it, the more you grasp them, the more you remember them, the more difficult it is for you to forget it. But if you learn something once now, you probably will forget it. Learning that thing every day, okay, what happens? It becomes very inbred in you. So that's what happens. So the more you are going through something, the more you are building neuronal connections through your neurons to that thing you are learning, or to become very strong. So that is the model that the LLM was actually built on. Okay, the next slide, please. The next slide. Okay. So what happens? Okay. Now, when I talk about passing your signals or energy, every neuron has a potential energy it must exert for it to pass message to the next one. So if you look at our drawing, you can see that some are still blue, some are still red. So the red ones are the ones that collected electrons and they got excited, while the blue ones did not get excited because they did not get through this. So anyone who are passing through this shade gets excited, and that's how the brain is working. So why am I going through this? To tell you how the LLM was designed in accordance to your brain. We're going to look at it now. Next slide, please. Okay. So for how your electronic brain pulse works. Okay, trying to get each other, understand each other, linking to. So or you want to remember some things, the more your neurons connect together, it means that you are smart, you are remembering things. But if your neurons are scattered, it means that you are not reading. So you need to go and read and learn more so that you can able to connect more dots and to that neuron. I mean, that's basically how it works anyway. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, all right, and then, okay. So that basically this is just a video of how your neurons are connecting. Okay, so they are disconnecting. So the more they are connected together, the more you are grasping things together. That is how your brain works. The next. So, all right, now, look at this is your internal architecture of your LLM. You have your input layer, you have your layer 1, your output. Now, the more powerful an LLM is, it means that it has to have more layers, okay, and build up more parameters and build up more tokens. Now, each of these lines, okay, are weighted. Next slide. Okay. So now, look at how the LLM works. When there's an input layer, there's a word there called 100. Each of the lines, okay, depending on how the LLM is structured, maybe 0.5, depending. So I'm trying to explain to you what the parameters are. Okay, I've lost. It's now. Okay, yeah, it's out. Now, each of your neutrons has a bias. So for this particular example, we have under this layer 1, you have your token that is a 100, you have your line of weight that is what, 0.5, you have your bias that is plus 10. So it takes the 100 multiplied by 0.5, you have what, 50, right? You add it to 10, it becomes what, 60. Now if the threshold of that layer is less than 60, that means that this will be excited. I cannot pass another message to the next one. Next. Gets excited and then passes a message. He has a bias of -7. 5 -7, it becomes what? Lesser. Next slide. So this has a 35, a threshold of 70, and is not excited. So basically, in the design of LLM, it means that each of these layers are interconnected together. So when you count all these interconnections, that is what you call your parameters. So the more, in order to scale it, the more your parameters, and of course, because the smarter your AI will be. The more that you actually use to train it, the smarter it becomes. So the more layers you have, means that you have more parameters. The more parameters you have means that you want, the more your LLM becomes smarter. This is basic science. So this is just in accordance, just like your brain, the parameter threshold. If it gets a higher threshold, it excites and sends it. So that's how you continue going through until. So let me run through very fast so you can see some physicals. So now let's, for instance, the LLM wants creative mode. Mary had a. It will take this Mary had a, run through all these parameters. It's the one I've been trained, and it pulls out a. Now it may have little here. In actual fact, there are actually basically 5 words that comes out here. The word LLM does is that it picks one of the highest probability. So in this output, it may have little probability of 55%. It may have big 40%. It may have small 20%. So it takes the high probability, which is A2, and then it takes it back again to input again. So when you are putting your command to LLM, it's generative. It that takes back again and performs those calculations again. And like I said, the lamb might be of the highest parameter. There might be goat. Goat might be 40%, lamb might be 60%, sheep might be 10%, and it brings out. So the higher one, the high probability is what the LLM brings out. So it continues generating all this, sending it back and regenerating itself until it gives you the whole the answer that just. Okay, it may have gone through the. Okay, so now when we talk about LLMs, we are different. Okay, there are what we call Llama 2. Llama 2 is actually from Facebook. Okay, Meta. Okay, now like GPT-3, Llama 2 is an LLM 2, but unlike GPT-3 that has 105 billion parameters, Llama 2 has 7 billion parameters with 2 trillion tokens trained on it. So we have different LLMs, okay, which you are. All of them have different parameters, different tokens of different variations. Next slide. Okay. Now there's an assignment we're going to do. Okay. When you go home, so I don't want to read now. If you go to this site, okay. I know many of us don't. If you want to have your first touch of how LLM works, basically, it's a creative site that can use a creative image. So when you go there, just try to make an internal architecture, or try to give you have a look, or try to give what is ALM. Draw up an image based on what you describe for it. Okay, it's a free site. You can actually register and then do that, run that. We have other more interesting exercises we're going to do, but just this as an example. Next slide. Okay, and then just to, I don't know why this is stop. Okay, and then you will see how you can. The AIs, there are quite a number of them. Next slide. All right, next slide. Let me just turn off the. Okay, so finally, just to conclude on LLMs, when you can want to see how does this work. So there are 2 steps in the building of all these AIs. Basically, you have the step 1, which is the pre-training, and then the step 2, which is the fine-tuning. Next slide. So in pre-training, okay, I know there's those that actually inquisitive enough. You have GPU. Many of us have about NVIDIA and all these micro semiconductor things. Many of us have about Elon Musk. You have to basically bought how many graphic this thing from NVIDIA set up in a very large conference when he was trying to build up Grok 3, an AI model. So what you have is that you have your large language text data from everywhere. Internet, it might be, or even your Twitter might be, maybe some of you have Facebook pages. Your Facebook pages might actually be one of the data that have been fed into the AI. You never can tell. But what they do is that they scrap through the internet, scrap through the books everywhere, get data, then run them through the GPUs. They set up these GPUs, very solid state semiconductor in a very large room, and they run data continuously. Okay, through all the, so basically. Number of iterations. What I try to do is to develop patterns, specific patterns. So we'll continue running and continue running. So it takes it's a train that takes a very large amount of time and data. That's why I say that most of these models cost a lot of money. Okay, so basically I'm trying to develop patterns, and they have what you call a base model. This base model, if you ask it questions, it can't answer you, even though it's been trained. So that's why you now go to the next step, which is fine tuning. Next, so in fine tuning is where you now do the job, where you now get human beings that can start asking questions to the LLM and train it to how to answer intelligent questions. Now, when you are done with this, that's why you have your front end like DeepSeek, ChatGPT, and the rest. Okay, next slide. So so we want to go to the exercise. So I want to call in Chloe to come in, and then I'm taking theory, but basically I just wanted to introduce to you what AI is and how the internal architecture is. So you may not. The next one we're going to do now is blow your mind on what the LLMs does. So Chloe, please come over. Let me just get them out.
Yeah, hopefully will be easier. Let me make sure that it's next one. Okay. We should have called Mr. Chuksa AI for experts, because what I'm about to do is just about to bring it down home and then to do a couple exercises. So next slide, please. Next slide. I have to click through it. Let's click through it a bunch, like 2 times, please. And one more time. There we go. Okay. So all that Mr. Chooks is talking about, right? All the LLMs and everything. Simple what artificial intelligence is how we get computers to think like humans, right? The bread and butter of what makes us humans with functioning brains is we're able to speak languages, we're able to process information, we're able to recognize patterns. That's all that artificial intelligence is. It's getting computers to simply think like humans. And the good thing about computers is they don't get tired a lot of times, right? They don't get sleepy. All these some of the limitations that we might have. So it's getting computers to think like humans and operate like humans, but oftentimes much faster and much more efficiently. Next slide, please. Let's click through like 3 times, I think. And then we can keep it right there. Yeah, okay, great. So AI technologies, right? These are just they're just a handful of the different technologies that encompass artificial intelligence, right? Mr. Chooks, not yet. Mr. Chooks was diving into, natural language processing, rather to play, machine learning. All of these things are all connected with the different ways in how we get computers to think like humans, right? So I tried to give some examples that make it a bit more tangible for us, but then also some examples that make it relevant to us and our industry with energy, right? So if you think about machine learning, this is how you get data and able to make predictions. Like Mary had a little lamb. How is the computer knowing? The computer didn't go to primary school and saying Mary had a little lamb. It just has collected all this data. That, okay, Mary had a little, and maybe it's this song is this. I know that if a human types Mary had a little, it's more than likely that. Right, so that's kind of how machine learning works. You can actually think of it in terms of Netflix, right? You ever go to Netflix and you're like, oh wow, how did it know that I would enjoy this show or this movie or whatever? It's based off of your previous watch data. And if you think about it in the parallel with humans, it's like going to get something for your mom, and your mom is like, oh my gosh, how did you know I would love that? Because you know your mom, right? You know all the things that she likes, and that's essentially what it does. Computer vision is more like self-driving cars, right? So we see as humans, and with AI, it's getting cars to be able to recognize, okay, this is a stop sign or this is a red light, that means I should stop. Natural language processing, your Siri, Alexa, right? And then generative AI, which I think everybody's really excited about. AI has existed, the idea of artificial intelligence and that technology, these technologies have existed for many years, 50, 60 plus years, but generative AI is really the thing that has brought it home and accessible to us in a way that it has never been before. This is our first time with talking to computers, right? If you learn how to code and everything, that's a way of talking to computers. But when we code, we talk to computers in their own language, right? In zeros and ones and all that. But when we use generative AI, we're talking to computers in our own language, and now the technology has advanced for the computers to be able to understand us. So we'll talk a little bit about like generative AI, but really all it is being able to create content. So ChatGPT, so this is creating text, creating videos, images and all that based off of just human English prompts. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. And let's click through a couple times. Couple. Let's just keep going until we get. There we go. So AI is for every day. That's our whole thing here, to bring it down home to you guys. And all the way through so everything shows up on the slide, please. So if you think about AI and all the different use cases that you can use it for, right? Document creation and editing. These are some GPT, Gemini, Seek is the one that everyone has been from China. Notebook LM is a way you can get research notes and prompt your computer. So imagine gone are the days of studying and you're flipping through, what did I learn that day that the lecturer wrote, whatever. You can actually go and prompt all these things that you've uploaded and be like, hey, what is so and so that I learned exactly those notes. Plus AI is like a marketing tool, so you can use it to create slides. One of the day, I don't know about you, if you in your work or your daily life, you have to do many decks, right? So I'm sure Dorcas is in here, but a sales engineer can relate to that, right? You have to do too many decks and slides. With a tool like Plus AI, you can literally just be like, hey, give me a 6-slide deck. Here's the theme, here's the topic, I need these titles, and to be able to create, and all you have to do is input the content. Or you use a tool like ChatGPT that can input the content. And then in the business world, other tools, Copilot, all kind of the same idea, but you can sort of find what niche works for you and explore it that way. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. And then let's click through a couple of times. So why does AI matter for energy, right? This is really how we're bringing it back to us. You think about efficiency, innovation, sustainability, and so many other use cases, right? AI is revolutionizing industries, not just the tech industry, but for the healthcare industry, the education industry, and obviously energy. We don't want to be left behind, particularly in Nigeria as well. So there's so many different use cases. Today what we'll do is we'll just get our hands wet a little bit on how we can use this, and we'll also do a little bit more of an advanced example with predictive maintenance. And all that is, again, you take the data, that historical data from machines or whatever, let's say in an oil rig, and you're able to plug that through an this machine actually might fail, right? Versus being think about how something like data. We know when the temperature rises, when this machine might be overheating, so it's like weeks or whatever. That's kind of the idea. Okay. So I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, how do we get practical, right? AI isn't just hype. So those of us who have laptops, you can put their hand and be their partner for this exercise. And we're just going to get started on our activity. Is it on? Okay, let's get these. So one is fine, yeah. One second. You logged in. Are you on? Let's hit log.
Okay, is the car here?
So yeah, please yourself to your new partner. Make some friends. Alrighty, so this is how we're going to make AI feel real, right? It's not just hype, it's not just everybody AI, like what does it actually mean? So we start very simple. I'm sure some of you are like, I've used ChatGPT before, all of that, like this is not new to you, but we're going to build up from the simple kind of thing that you're used to and see what else is possible as we go on. So Mr. Chooks had mentioned prompt engineering, and all that designing your prompts, right? So your prompt is basically the English instruction, whether that's an output of text, whether it's an output of images, whether it's an output of video, even sound is possible. You give it some English language. Ooh. Okay, let's let that load, and then maybe you can hop off. Oh, here, I can give mine. Imaginary caps, right? You are working, this might actually be true for some of you. So let's say you are working on next year's strategy for your company. Let's say you're an executive or you're on the strategy team in your company, and you need to generate insights on industry trends. So back in the day, maybe you go, and you can even see how it's changed over time, right? Back in the day, maybe you go to library, right? Physical books, you'll be flipping through, that takes hours. And then we got to sort of the Web 2 idea of like Google, you can go and search, but then you have to go and confirm which searches, which sources are trustworthy and all that. But with AI, it can actually do all of that, right? It has basically the internet in its brain, as it were, and it can actually bring these ideas forward to you. I will say a note of caution, with tools like this, they're still being developed and advanced. You always want to go and cross-check and make sure that the information is actually relevant and accurate to you. Okay, so we're going to use ChatGPT. You can also use Gemini. These are just chatbots, right? So different companies have different chatbots, and we're going to get started with our prompt. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so everybody is up on ChatGPT. I want you to type out this prompt, right? We're just going to get started with something simple. What are the top 3 trends shaping the energy industry in Nigeria, and how should companies prepare for them? Is yours up yet? Okay, that one's working. Maybe I can give her mine. Let me see here. She can, but you know we have successive things, so let me see if this will work. Yeah, so I'll read it again. What are the top 3 industry in Nigeria, and how should companies prepare for them? Okay, yeah. Oh, you know.
Okay. That question.
And how should companies prepare for them? Yeah, hit enter and top 3 trends shaping the energy industry in Nigeria next year, and how should companies prepare for them? Yeah, don't overthink. If there are typos, sometimes you can assume that. Here, let me help you since you. Sorry. Okay. Here, you might have. To the Wi-Fi. We are. Why don't I have you? Apologies. Let me actually get. Let's do. Shaping. I've been by roughly. I know some people think going. What do you see? What do you notice? What's your name? Imagine if you had just said what's happening in Nigeria and energy. It's probably not as detailed as what you have. So the idea is you can actually feed it exactly and everything. So let's go to the next. Don't worry if you I have to my brain so I can tell you. Let's go to the next slide. And you can actually sorry, let's go back one. Let's go back. Okay. Just next slide now. Okay. It's a little bit better. Okay. What are the top 3 trends shaping the energy industry and companies prepare for them? Top 3 trends shaping the energy industry in Nigeria. How can companies prepare for them? For those of us who have it going already, let's try and refine it, right? Let's make it more interesting. We ask it, can you summarize and export this as a PowerPoint? Yeah, I got you. Shaping the as follow-ups, we have international partners that we'd like to share this information with. Can you translate this into like how many years ago? You probably would have been able to send it to your partners. Maybe you start saying, is anybody in Lagos that can speak? Maybe they will join the call. But with AI, you can literally just say like, an industry knowledge that is surfaced for you. Or 3, I'd like to you sit down, okay, maybe I'll ask this, maybe I'll ask that. And the idea is AI can help makes things more efficient. So why not different? Try this one. Saipec. You may notice it even right? Yeah, interesting. Now try and translate it into Mandarin. Pick your see Yoruba, try and translate it into Yoruba. Yeah. So try a few prompts and then we'll go on to the next thing. No. Oh, so yeah, I should point out this. Try your own. If there's an already, if there's something that's more applicable to you in sales or in engineering, and prompt it back, right? Again, this is what it is. It's just continuously building upon what you have, find in that you have. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's the idea. You can build upon the prompts that you had before. So literally, and that's it. So you're almost talking to like a human. So asking us like, this is great. Like I say, that's excellent. Translates it into Yoruba form and see what happens. Yes.
To be able to attach a PowerPoint.
Exactly. Exactly. The tools, exactly. Brand details and everything, and it will tweak it out for you. Something interesting? Yes. Okay. I know for some of you, I've done, use ChatGPT before, but the whole idea is like, there's so many people that are limited because they don't know how much information you can actually prompt these tools with to get the output that you need. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see if we can blow our minds a little bit. Next slide, please. The tech guys are sleeping. Next slide, please. He may not. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to do a Gen AI video. So I don't know if does everyone have? Okay, so we're going to use what's called Sora. Oh, yes, we're here tomorrow. I know you needed a stamp. Okay. These are chatbots. So you give it text, it gives you text, right? Or you think about something like Alexa or Siri, you give it a vocal input, it gives you a vocal output like, Siri, what's the weather today? Say, the weather today is blah, blah, blah. Now, what if prompts the AI, prompts the computer with text, and it gives us a more interesting output like video? Imagine that. Imagine being able to say like, hey, I want to create this film or this, I need this marketing output, right? I need a video that shows X, Y, and Z thing that I want to include in my slides. Give me that output. And it does. So we have a bit of technical difficulties, but what we'll do is I'll open here and see what happens. So let's go here. Let's click. More. Something like this. This one is very detailed, and we don't have time to go through it all. But I can. This was not fed anything prior. I literally just gave it this prompt, right? I'm playing playing around with a deck that I'm making, whatever, and I want a video that shows the AKK pipeline. Over here. AKK pipeline. Just give me a video that I can with my marketing work. And this was outputted just from the AI. You can see the prompt here. Like infographic or something you want to present, and you just cannot find it, and you've spent like 30 minutes, 40 minutes searching on Google Images, and something like Sora actually can output that video for you. Okay, so feel free to keep playing around. This is pretty much the end. Yeah, here, I think hers was the end of our session today. Sora is not for free. Sora is not for free, but it's a relatively small, especially if you're $20 a month. 20 for the plus. For the pro it's 200. But there are many other tools that you can, even if it's not this, some of the images I had earlier in the slides, I just generated them with another AI tool. Yeah, so again, this was just to show you different that you can take advantage of in your personal life as students or in your work life, as CEOs, as professionals. You don't want to be left behind, right? And wants to be left behind where the world is going. So I can pass around. Yeah, this was the prompt that I had earlier. You can see what came up. So you can actually try. Why not try your own prompts? Think of anything that is of interest to you. Anything at all. I know Mr. Chooks, was it you that did the ascension of Jesus Christ? You can describe it like, I want to see the ascension of Jesus, but make Jesus actually how he looked in the whole world, which is Middle Eastern and not white with blue hair and blonde. How's it going? Yeah. Okay. The prompt. This one or your own? Okay, try this one and then try your own. Play around with it. Think of anything that you want to see. Show me a video of Mr. Chooks dancing. I don't know who Mr. Chooks is. You get an error from the AI. Mind. Have you? Your name, sir? Emmanuel. The company. Nice to meet you too. So what's come up? Is it still loading?
Hello? Yeah, it's working. It's working. But it's yeah, I'm
Let's see what.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello?
So he's still picking a sound. He's still picking mine too.
Yeah.
Like,
But we can.
put this on it.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? Yeah, much better. It's like the TikTok. I should just hold this one. The TikTok, the TikTok mics. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, it's the tiny little. It was in the creators. There's that one girl that does the song. Like, when you complete the lyrics.
I'm being creative now.
Yeah, be creative. Don't let him hold you back. Sorry, please. Let's see what it pulls up.
Sometimes he has a retire for us.
Oh yeah, look at the one that you had.
Oh, yeah. That is mine.
Why is it not loading?
Mine is in queue.
How's it coming? There you go. That was purely from, yeah man, I imagine this how many years ago? Animator, hire somebody to put it all together. Cool. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. I hope you had a nice time.
Your name, please. Joy. Joy. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so we have. I let the ladies choose. I don't know.
I guess we're unlucky.
Ah.
The system is that.
You know what, Mr. Chooks, do you have it open?
Yes.
Do you know what I think it is? Yes. I think it's because we have it open twice.
No, it's not open. Why is it telling you?
It's not coming.
No, I'm
up.
saying, is it open somewhere else?
No. Let me see.
No, hold on, I just refreshed it to
Okay,
show.
it's okay. It's no problem.
I don't know why it's delaying, but you saw the little glimpse anyway.
I saw a previous video of, I think, pipeline set.
Yeah, that was right, exactly. That was this prompt that we had put in.
So that was AI.
That was purely AI. That was not a video. I didn't find a Google image and put it in. It was purely from a text prompt. And it popped up. And you can think about how much more detailed this could be. You could say, I want to showcase a black female engineer walking through the pipeline with a hard hat, walking with it. You can actually put that, and it will generate it and
That could make my presentations
much easier. Exactly.
sometimes I go to outsource.
You can generate images. Yeah. Mind you, this is all just getting. Let's go to the next slide. Have they shut down? Okay, so just to wrap it up, guys, these are the takeaways, right? AI is for right now, and the adoption is much easier than you can think of, right? Just ChatGPT, Sora, these tools are available at your fingertips for right now. So, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you. Yes. There's a little bit more, but we'll just end it here. Yes, exactly. More than fine. Yes, we'll be here tomorrow again. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Boy.
Well done.
Yeah.
But it was the brain and I
Okay.